Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show.
We're gonna plan on this for hopefully next week. We're going to use my hay cart, which I don't use anymore as a hay cart. We're going to put the harness pole on the front of the hay cart here with quick releases on through eye bolts. And we're going to have the horses come in on either side like this. Then we're going to pick up the front as we did in our last session. It's all right, girls. Uh-oh. That's what I was afraid of. I was not smart when I did that. Come on up. I said, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Good. Scott, can you get that? Get the, what Angela's doing. No, with the camera. Good, good. We've got, we're going to have to deal with future almost wrecks. The horses have to have confidence in us. Angela has the Monty Roberts across the nose, the pressure that we need for that, and she's using visual blocks. Yes, good. And Sadie's still upset. She's still making blowing noises in her nose. But Angela's going to walk around now, and Kyle, you come back too. Every time the horses experience something negative like this, you kind of have to work it out of them. They have to regain their confidence in you because it's their nature to be concerned. Okay, all right. I shouldn't have pulled on this until this harness pole was properly affixed to this hay cart. My plan is, and it may be asking too much, my plan is to have the back of the harness pole with quick releases on this hay cart, the front of the harness pole ultimately on their collars. Okay, I'm gonna carefully, yes, good. Come on up, Angela. I'm gonna carefully just let it sit here. And then, this is like a simulated, this is a simulated forecart because someday I want a real one. We're going to, if we're confident, we're gonna have the horses be driving in pairs with a simulated forecart behind them. And we're just going to pick up the handle and move it. It's got big wheels. Move it with them. It's not going to be their job to pull the simulated forecart, but it's going to be their job to tolerate it behind them, and including the noise and including the sight. And my goodness, there's a lot to learn in order to learn how to be farming horses. That's how we're going to try to proceed, one small step at a time. Well, here we are at the arena. You'll see that we're bringing Sadie out. And we have this hay cart because yesterday I was careless. I dropped the training harness pole when we were in the pasture. It scared the horses, and we didn't follow through to make sure the horses understand that this hay cart is not a dangerous obstacle. So we're gonna do some obstacle desensitization right here to show you what we're doing. And we'll do it also in the pasture where we do our pairs driving training. But here we are, here's the hay cart. We have somebody at the camera to follow us. Now, if you have an obstacle that is scary to a horse, it's best to let the horse see it coming towards them. So that's all we're doing today, is we're going to have Sadie see it coming towards her, and then as she goes down the driveway to her pasture, I'll follow her, but not very closely, so she might hear it. But not very closely. Everything is one tiny baby step at a time. Now, Angela's going to be coming out of the gate, going over here to the west. Okay, and I'm walking towards Sadie. Can you stop for a minute? I'm letting her investigate. She's blowing through her nostrils saying, what is that? But she's licking her lips. Good, good sign. I'm going to back off, take the pressure away when we get the right answer. Now Angela's going to be walking toward the north, and I'm going to kind of go with her at a distance. seems okay. Her body language is okay. Now she's looking. Okay, I'll review all of that. We'll do the same thing with Evie. So when you're ready, let me know. I don't have my mic on today, so I couldn't tell you when I was closer to Sadie at the double gates, but her ears were back. She was obviously listening, and she was just fine on it, so I went a little closer, and her body language was good. She went through the double gates, which my horses enjoy to do that because they know when we take them through those double gates, they're heading towards the pasture where they get to graze for at least 6 hours. And I always leave some carrots out at the beginning of the day for them. So that was a really good desensitization session for Sadie. And she was the one that spooked a whole lot yesterday. So I'm glad she isn't saying, oh, that is a predator, that's gonna attack me. Instead, she said, what is that? She investigated, which is always a good sign when you're trying to desensitize for obstacles, to try to get the horse or the cow to have confidence in you, and then vice versa, we have confidence in them. So we're going to be doing this desensitization for the next few days in various places, and we're going to be doing with Sadie and Eve, and then we're going to harness them up and put it right back where it was yesterday in the pasture, put the training harness pole on it, but we'll have our quick releases and let them investigate it there. So soon we'll turn the camera back on and we'll see how Eve does with this training session. Well, we're getting ready to bring Eve out. She's doing her usual lunging that we do in the morning with all the horses to make sure there's no ouchiness in their legs. I really don't expect trouble with Eve, but you know, 2 sessions ago, we had some butt rope problems, and Eve got afraid of what Sadie was doing. I think she blamed Sadie for her fear, and we're getting better. Sadie and Eve are willing to be pairs, but not in perfect form. So what we're going to do is continue to do pairs training, and we're going to try to include this simulated forecart, which is just an old hay cart. Here comes Eve, same drill. We're going to go over there to the grass. Let her look at this thing that's coming towards her. She's already looking at it. Her eyeballs are bulging. Her ears are cranking in this direction. Now she's looking at the hay cart. Good. I'm going to walk towards her. She's not afraid. Okay, let me check it out. Okay, good. Good, she's licking her lips. That's really good. Okay, now I'm going to back off and Angela's going to go by. And once again, I'm going to follow Eve. Like I did Sadie, but not too close. And I'll let you know if we have any problems. Her ears are turning this way. Good, I'll leave it over here against this wall. We're going to do this every day until we're back in the pasture. Okay, so I put the hay cart close to the double gates, because tomorrow when we do this, we'll start there and move our way down the driveway. I was very pleased with Eve. She didn't show any concern at all with the hay cart, but she was curious, which is good. She did investigate, she turned her ears, she licked her lips, and she walked with non-stressed body language toward the gate and beyond. So she's going off to pasture now. And while I was waiting for Eve to get ready for this exercise, I was watching Rural Heritage on RFD TV, and there was a program about horses in Minneapolis being used to pull logs out of a very thick forest that needed to be thinned. it was so thick that they could only use single horses. And what amazed me when I watched that program just now was that the handler, the driver, didn't have any drive lines. He was just giving verbal commands. The horses were doing their job beautifully, and it was a hard job, but they understood. There were such distinctions as kiss, don't cluck. He was giving some apprentices some advice about how to handle the horses. So as long as the horses understood the commands, and that comes with consistency and removing the pressure and reward and so forth, the horses knew what their job was. And you know what? It was snow on the ground, and it was hard work because the forest was so thick that the trees, when they were chopped down, were falling against each other. But the horses did a very good job in helping to thin this forest. And while I don't intend to thin a forest, I do intend to have my horses and my little mini cows help me to do my grazing management, seeding, and pasture development here in an urban rural setting at Shadrack Farms. And that's all for today. Our next session, here comes Sadie from the arena. We're at the double gates now. I'm going to approach with a PVC in my hand. Let her investigate. Good. Now I'm going to follow more closely today. I'm watching her body language. She's okay, she's curious, she's looking, she's listening. I'll close the gate, but hold on for a minute while I close it because I want to stay close. Good girl. Aha, she turned around, she said, wait a minute, that thing's following me. Look at her face, she says, I better watch it. And as long as she stopped, she said, I'll bite this bush. But okay, let's go. No problem. She was curious. She was cautious. But there was no spooking. Now we're going to turn off the camera and wait for Eve to finish her morning lunch. We'll do the same thing with Eve. And if all goes well, the next session will be back out in the green pasture where we will have them harnessed up and have them working with this simulated forecart with a place to attach the training harness pole with quick releases so that if we do have spooking, we can quickly release it. There's a lot of spooky things going on here when you try to do farming with horses. At first, spooky. But you know, eventually if they gain confidence in you, it's not spooky anymore. Clinton Anderson did a multi-part series about Tricky, a thoroughbred who was off the racetrack and spooked at everything. Here comes Eve. She wants to see where Sadie went and what's going on. But she'll be patient. She'll wait for Angela to come back and do our morning chores with Eve. The Tricky, at first, was spooked by everything because on the racetrack, the only thing they did was run. Well, Clinton Anderson, after many parts of training, got Tricky in an arena and in an obstacle course to stand quietly, unspooked, when Clinton took a bullwhip and made whipping sounds right next to Tricky. Of course, at first it was very spooky, and Tricky did all kinds of spooky things to get away from it. But eventually, Clinton Anderson was able to get Tricky's confidence and respect, and Tricky just stood there as the bullwhip was snapped next to him. So we're working on getting this hay cart, which is going to be our simulated forecart, white PVC and chain sounds, to be around Eve and Sadie when we do our harness training and have them not spook at it. So we'll see how Evie does the next time we turn on the camera. Okay, we're gonna work on seeing if Eve gets spooked, desensitize her if she does. I've got a chain, PVC. She's all ready. She hears it. Watch her ears. My cameraman's gonna zoom in on her ears for you because they tell you a lot. And her eyeballs. Okay, and the first thing I'm gonna do, just like I did with Sadie, is walk up to her again and say, here, this thing isn't gonna attack you. Check it out if you want. We did this yesterday, but I didn't have the PVC. She's a little bit concerned about this white PVC. And that's why I brought it out today, because that's part of our training harness pole. Look at her ears. She's stepping back a little bit. I'm making a noise. A chain, because we use a lot of chains. Okay, so she's okay. She's not spooking. She's not dancing around. I'm gonna walk now behind her, close behind her first, quietly, then I'm gonna make more noise. Okay, Angela, you can go ahead. This is a routine we do almost every day with the horses, so they know it is a routine. They like to go down the driveway. They know they're going to be turned out to an even bigger pasture than they get at night. Making noise, making noise. She's listening, she's looking. You feel that tension. Okay, well, we're going to do it at HPD too. Before we ever try to hook up, even with quick releases. Okay? Yeah. The closer I got and the more noise I made, Eve did perk up her ears and try to look in her peripheral vision, and we could see the energy level go up a notch. She was concerned. She thought she might be attacked. So our plan is to do this very thing at the pasture where we give them their pairs harness training without attaching anything, just making them realize that whether it's here or there, this thing, which is my simulated forecart, is not going to attack them. And that's all for today. Well, our session in the pasture with our simulated forecart, our training harness pole connected to it with quick releases. We're letting Sadie and Eve get accustomed to it, because here in the pasture, with the harness pole on top of it, it's yet another monster. So, how do they feel? Big bulgy eyes on Eve. She's not comfortable. Kyle, can you just kind of look at the ears, look at the eyes, look at the nostrils going in and out. Body language tells you a lot. Sadie's got her head down. She's licking her lips. She already got over the formidable look of this thing, which she met last week briefly, but I dropped the harness pole in front of the hay cart accidentally, and it made a noise, and everybody freaked out, but we got them calmed down, so we're just doing sacking out, desensitization, and if possible, we're going to measure this butt rope, because we want to use it as long as we're sure that if there's a spook, it will break away. And let me show you what we've done. I told you that we were going to do this, and now we've done it. This is a cat collar, a breakaway cat collar. We have one here on the outside of Sadie, where the britchin back strap is. We have one under her tail on the britchin. We have one on the Hames ring, because if we do decide to use the butt rope, it will be connected to cat collars that break away if there's a spook. And each connector on the butt rope will be a small, smooth connector like this. For today, we're still using the old one because we haven't bought a new one. This is the one I used the day of the spook. And you see, it's called a scissor snap, and it's fine for certain applications when you're riding. For reins, it's not fine for harness work where you might have a spook. So we're trying to prevent wrecks. We're doing everything we can with our tack to be able to deal with spooking, because I have to say it probably will happen, to get our horses to trust us, to pay attention to our visual blocks. Last time Everett went up like this to Sadie, and that completely took her focus away from what was in her right mind, her reactive side of the brain, and she said, oh, okay, I'm not going to be scared. Eve looks much better now. Her head's down. She's blinking her eyes. She is not showing stress. Now, Aaron and Angela, please walk back around and try to get Eve and Sadie a little closer to the harness pole. Look at Sadie, though. She's walking away from it. Do you feel the pressure, Angela? Yeah, she's saying, oh, well, wait a minute. Now that I'm moving, I got to stay away from that thing. So we're going to expose them to it over and over and over again here, where they're going to be doing our harness work, especially for planting pasture. Now watch Sadie. Eve is fine. I can see that. She's walking right up. Whoa. Sadie is inching away.
Oh.
Yeah, she said, I'm going to keep that hip away. I don't trust. So, okay, I'm not going to force anything today, but I am going to try to do this. If you would hold this butt rope. It's all right, Sadie. I'm not going to connect it even to the breakaway cat collars. I'm going to say that if it's twice as long as the length between my left hand and Angela's right hand, that's how long I want it. It's a little too long right now. You can drop it, Angela. Good. So I wanted to measure that today. And you can see that Sadie knew I was back there. Okay, now, Everett, if you can come up. And pick up the front of the harness pole when I say it's time to do it. In other words, we'll see how they behave as you walk up. And we've got a dog leash in the front of the harness pole so he can quietly put it down again if they're spooking. I'm going to walk back here. Instead of being behind the harness pole, I'm going to be behind the simulated fork cart, this hay cart. And I don't think we're going to move it today, but I'm taking it one tiny baby step at a time. Yeah, Sadie is saying she's dancing around. Eve has 4 feet in concrete, as they say. She's standing still. Sadie, she has her back leg cocked, but she's saying, I'm not sure why my mommy is there, but I'm going to watch. Okay, Everett, I'm going to bend down as if I were picking it up, and then we're going to say on 3. 1, 2, 3, pick it up. Good. Sadie's head went up. She's looking at it. She's saying, well, wait a minute. He picked it up there, and it moved over here, but she's licking her lips. Watch that body language. Eve is just fine. She was a little spooky before. Sadie wants to investigate it. That's real good. It's just like an obstacle to her. Let's put it down. 1, 2, 3, quietly. Good, but it makes noise. You may not have heard it. It makes noise when we put it down. The white PVC on the back of the harness pole kind of rock back and forth on the edge of this hay cart, which is our simulated fork cart. And here's what we're going to do then. We haven't had a whole lot of spooking, so I am going to take a tiny baby step. So handlers, Angela and Aaron, Everett, when you pick it up, I'm going to move it a step or 2 forward. And the horses will say, wait a minute, why is that thing moving? But they've got to know it's going to move. So go ahead up at your will. Good. And 1 or 2 steps forward. 1, 2, and down quietly. Now I saw Eve take a few steps. How'd Sadie do? I wasn't watching her.
Her eyes got glassy.
Okay. All right. See, their hips aren't anywhere where they should be. They aren't parallel next to the harness pole. Gosh, how long will it take us? I don't know. But I do know we're going to take tiny baby steps. Everett, that was pretty successful, so I'm going to take a chance. It's always a call. Are you going to go a little more or not? I'm going to take a chance and do it again. This time we're going to take 3 steps. And I know we're going to hit her. Everett, let's just come back this way. You know, this thing's going to go forward and backward. Okay, so up. It's making noise. Come back this way. 1, 2, 3, and down. And it's making noise, but they're okay on it. They're checking it out. If you've got something that scares a horse and you let them see in front of them what's scaring them or on their side, you have a much better chance of overcoming the fear. If you try to let that scary object be behind them, they're going to become much more fearful much quicker. So I'm using all of what I know about obstacle desensitization or sacking out. I'm giving my Morgan mares, Eve and Sadie, every opportunity to know what is the right answer, not be afraid of it, and be willing to have confidence in my requests. And that's all for today. Sonia Sokolow.
See more at www.urbancowgirlchannel.com.